Christmas teacher had no family, rich rancher gave her his entire household. On the last Friday before Christmas, Miss Clara Whitmore erased the blackboard for the final time that year, though there were no children left to see it. Chalk dust lingered in the air like snow that had lost its way, and the little schoolhouse creaked as if it, too, felt the coming loneliness. Outside, the prairie lay white and silent, a wide breath held between storms. Clara paused with the eraser in her hand and wondered, not for the first time, how a room could feel so full and so empty at once. She had taught in Red Willow for 7 years, long enough to memorize the handwriting of every child, to know who hid their grief behind jokes and who carried it like a careful secret. But when the bell rang and the students ran home to their parents and siblings, Clara always stayed behind. There was no one waiting for her. Her parents had passed years earlier, and the small circle she once called family had scattered like birds ahead of winter. Christmas was hardest. It had a way of shining a light on what was missing. She folded her shawl, locked the door, and stepped into the cold. Snow squeaked under her boots. She would return to her rented room, eat a simple supper, and grade papers that no one would ask about until January. It was enough, she told herself it was, but the lie felt thinner each year. Across the valley, the Hawthorne Ranch sprawled across miles of frostbitten land. Everyone in Red Willow knew of Samuel Hawthorne. He was a rich rancher, yes, but the word rich never captured him properly. He was a widower with a face weathered by sun and sorrow, a man who spoke little and gave much, though always quietly. People said his household ran like clockwork, cooks, ranch hands, housekeepers, all loyal as family. But no one spoke of the empty chair at his long table or the rooms upstairs that had not heard laughter in years. That evening, as Clara poured tea by lamplight, there came a knock at her door. It was an unexpected sound, firm, polite, unmistakably purposeful. When she opened it, the cold rushed in along with Samuel Hawthorne himself, hat in hand, beard dusted with snow. "Miss Whitmore," he said, voice low but kind. "I hope I'm not intruding." Clara's surprise stole her breath. "Mr. Hawthorne." "No, not at all. Please, come in." He declined the chair she offered, standing instead as if uncertain of his welcome. "I'll be brief. I've a request. My cook fell ill, and the house is full for Christmas. I wondered if you might consider joining us for dinner. Just for the holiday." The words hung between them, fragile as glass. Clara felt her throat tighten. Invitations were rare. Pity was rarer still. But something in Samuel's eyes held no trace of either. Only an earnestness that startled her. "I don't want to impose," she said, the reflex swift and practiced. "You wouldn't," he replied. "You'd be doing me a kindness." She agreed, though she did not quite understand why. Christmas Eve arrived in a hush of snow and starlight. Clara stood at the threshold of the Hawthorne house, its windows glowing gold against the dark. Inside, warmth wrapped around her like a long-forgotten memory. The household bustled. Pots clanged, laughter rose, boots thudded, but when Samuel introduced Clara, the noise softened into smiles and nods that felt sincere. Dinner was generous and unhurried. Stories were shared. The ranch hands spoke of the year's trials and triumphs, the housekeeper recounted Christmases past. Clara listened, heart swelling, until she realized something unexpected: they were listening to her, too. When she spoke of her students. The way little Thomas finally mastered his letters, or how Mary read aloud with a trembling courage, the table leaned in. Her life mattered here. Later, as plates were cleared and candles burned low, Samuel rose. "There's one more thing," he said, glancing at Clara. "A walk, perhaps." They stepped onto the porch. Snow fell softly, the world hushed as if awaiting a confession. Samuel took a long breath. "My wife loved Christmas," he began. "When she passed, the house stayed full, but the meaning thinned. I've tried to fill it with work, with people. Yet something was missing. Clara nodded, understanding more than he knew. I've watched you, he continued, not unkindly. The way you give yourself to those children. How you stay when no one asks you to. It struck me that family isn't always what we're born into. Sometimes it's what we build. Her eyes filled. Mr. Hawthorne. Samuel, he said gently. And this is my offer. Not charity. Not tonight only. I want you here, for Christmas, yes, but beyond it if you wish. As part of this household. As family. The world seemed to tilt. Clara's first instinct was refusal. Independence had been her armor for so long. But then she thought of the empty schoolhouse, the quiet room, the years stretching ahead like unbroken snow. You mean, stay? She asked. I do. Inside, the household waited, unaware that a single choice could change them all. Clara felt the weight of it, the risk, the hope. Then she smiled, a small, brave thing. I would like that, she said. Christmas morning dawned bright and still. Children from the ranch gathered near the tree, their laughter echoing down halls that had long known only footsteps. Clara helped serve breakfast, her hands steady, her heart full. When Samuel watched from the doorway, something eased in his chest, a knot loosened by the simple grace of togetherness. Later, gifts were exchanged. Not costly, but chosen with care. Clara received a book, its pages blank. Inside the cover, Samuel had written, "For all the stories yet to be told." She understood then the true gift he had given her, not a place, but a belonging. That afternoon, as snow fell once more, Clara stood at the window beside Samuel. "Thank you," she said. "For seeing me." He shook his head. "Thank you for staying." In a world that often measures wealth in acres and accounts, their Christmas offered a gentler truth. That generosity is not what we give away, but what we choose to share of ourselves. And sometimes, when kindness meets courage, it builds a family where none existed before, one warm light against the winter, shining far beyond the season.